Hello, I'm Richard Ridge for BroadwayWorld. One of the most anticipated new musicals this spring season is American Psycho, which features a score by Tony and Grammy Award winner Duncan Sheik. Under the direction of Rupert Gould, it will open on April 20th at the Schoenfeld Theatre. And we drop by the Duke Theatre to bring you a sneak peek and to meet the company led by Benjamin Walker.
I'm 26 years old, living in New York City at the end of the century. This is what being Patrick Bateman means to me. No, I'm not a common man. I want it all.
This was really exciting, as you could see all of us sitting out in the house today. This 10 days of rehearsal?
Yeah, about that, like 9 or 10 days, and but it's infectious. You know, you kind of do it a couple times, and I guess sickly, it makes a lot of sense to me.
This was flawless today.
Oh, thank you. I did call for a line once, but it's still in work, so it's fine.
Ben, what's it been like living in the world of the 80s and the world of American Psycho?
I really enjoy it. I think the 80s were an exciting time. It was a greedy time, but it was a time when we as people were hungry and excited and pushing the boundaries of music and pushing the boundaries of fun. And I feel like the show encapsulates that in a nice way.
Did you know the book really well or the film?
The book is so gruesome. When I was in school, I tried to read it and I was like, I think I'm good on this. I've since finished it and I'm very glad I did because I understand the film and this much, much better. And the film is so kind of distant and cold and creepy. Whereas this, I feel like, because it's a play, because it's a musical, because we have directed dress, because it's funny, you kind of go on Patrick's ride in a healthy way, which is new and interesting.
In a certain way, all the fears I had seem to fade away. I know that I'm a fool to think that this is real. I'm breaking every rule, 'cause this is how I feel. Yeah.
What's it like for you living in the world of American Psycho and the 80s?
I mean, it's kind of cool. There's a few, I mean, you haven't seen them yet, but there's a few little surprises in there too, like musically pertaining to the 80s that get really exciting. It's just fun. There's so much energy when you're working with a time period like the 80s. You know, there's so much energy.
Yeah.
And Lynn has choreographed it so beautifully and in such an authentic way.
Yeah.
With that, you would see us and think that. I mean, they do a really great job of transporting you there with a slight modern flair that you maybe don't even know is there, but makes a little bit of a difference.
Sure.
That's really cool.
Working with Duncan Sheik again, what a beautiful score!
Yeah, he's incredible. I mean, what he's done, we know how amazing he is at kind of taking a story that you would think this would never be a musical or make sense as one, and that's what he does. He's incredible at that.
But let's be clear, there's nothing ironic about our love of Manolo Blahnik. No, there's nothing remotely ironic about our love of Manolo Blahnik. Chanel, Dolce, or Giorgio Armani.
What's it like living in the world of the 80s?
It's great. It's campy. It's different. It's off. And, it's... I don't mean to dog it, but God, is it a funny era to be living in, to be doing, and to have so many nods towards,
How well did you know the book and the film?
I knew the film, and then when we got asked to audition, you're like, American Psycho, the musical. You're like, okay, and then you listen to Duncan's music, and you're like, oh yeah, I buy this. And then I went and watched the movie again. And what strikes me so much is how funny it is and how tongue-in-cheek it is. And so you'll be at one moment laughing and then immediately oh God. So that knowledge coming in was really fun and has been a fun way to color this particular story.
Holy shit. Magnificent, impressive, so thick and yet so light. The lettering, Romalian, the stock, it's eggshell white. Don't take chances in the game. It matters what you've drawn. The question's not what's in a name, but what it's printed on.
So what's been the coolest thing about the 80s for you with doing this project?
Well, learning. I mean, first of all, learning some new dance moves. We have a very specific style and style of dance for our age range and who we are, and obviously the 80s is a much different feel, so I've been learning that. And then attire and how people talk to each other, and especially in this financial culture, this sort of sexual and financial and manipulation, social manipulation of each other is so fascinating to me, and getting the leg up and getting the best suit and all of the perfect things. These men rely on perfection. They judge and they measure each other in perfection of who has the best hair, who has the best girl, who has the best reservations, so that's just been fascinating to me.
Oh, baby, baby.
It's so exciting. I think the music is a key factor to what makes it so awesome, this process, because it's decidedly not the book and it's not the movie, and it's a musical, and the music, it inspires me. It initiates the emotion, it initiates the action, and it tells the story, and it moves the story forward. I'm really excited for people to hear it because it's unusual. It's an unusual score.
Because you work with so many incredible composers. You're a musician yourself, so this was such an eclectic sound of the 80s that Duncan has totally captured.
I totally agree. About a third of the score is pop hits that we love from the 80s, like In the Air Tonight and Everybody Wants to Rule the World. And then the rest of the score Duncan wrote to tell the story. And I've been describing it as a trance wave, pop-driven soundscape.
I love that.
Maybe funk could be in there too.
Well, for me, this is a gift of a show for me because I work in the music industry, and I work in opera, and I work in fashion, and I work in modern dance, and I can just put it all together. And of course, I do musicals as well. So I've never had a show where I can take all those influences and put it in one piece. And also, I knew the 80s. I lived in New York in 1987, so everything sort of strikes a lot of resonance for me. It's great.
What's it been like collaborating on this show?
Well, it's great. I mean, we're both of a generation that remember this music and probably the hideous dance moves we probably own in a different way to some of the young cast. I think we're nostalgic about that period musically and in our lives probably, and I think a lot of audiences will really feel that. But then also, what's really amazing is this young generation who are in our company. We're part of this generation who are rediscovering music from that period and fashion from that period and remaking it in a sort of 21st century way, and I think our show and Duncan's music sort of does both. It's a homage and of its era, but it's also now.
Look, I think when I reread the book, I realized that there was so much music in the book. But Patrick Bateman's kind of an armchair music critic with questionable taste in music, and he was also going to nightclubs all the time. So instantly, I kind of felt like, I have a sound picture for what this show might sound like. And then in terms of the lyrics, there's all this hilarious, funny satire and all this great stuff to play with. So it was just a question of figuring out which moments we were going to use.